Hello and welcome to the Huddle. I'm Liam Santamaria, as you know, and today I'm speaking with Dean Vickerman from Melbourne United, one of the greatest and most successful coaches in NBL history. And after this one, that'll be the end of the preseason coaches series. All 10 conversations with each of the NBL clubs will be there for you to watch on YouTube, listen to on your podcast feed. So go back and check them out. But for now, sit back, relax, because up next is Dean Vickerman. Dino, good to see you, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going well, mate. Going well. Pre-season and looking forward to going to the Blitz.
For sure. It's just around the corner. You guys just polishing off your preparations before heading there. Thanks for jumping on the Huddle. Are you at Hoop City right now, straight off the practice floor?
Yeah, at Hoop City, media day here. Not sure if you can see my picture behind me, but I got a nice little picture of Casey Prather versus OKC.
That's the shot that got blocked, right?
The shot that got blocked. It's a great reminder every day to walk in my office and just be a little bit better, be a little bit better. And but no, there's a lot of good reminders up there. The wall up that you see from those three guys challenging the shot was pretty special as well. So no.
I love it. If we can just be one bucket better every day, then we can do some great things.
Exactly. But still a great moment. Still a great moment.
Oh, incredible memory. And it's a timely picture actually, because NBL, NBA games just around the corner. You won't be there, of course. You've done a whole heap of them and had plenty of that experiences, but one of your former players who you worked with for a long time will have the opportunity to do what you've done. And that is be a head coach in one of those NBA games, which will be exciting. Are you excited for CJ to have that experience?
Absolutely. I think he's put a great squad together, a squad that can go over there and, compete athletically. I'll probably give him a call before he goes or catch up with him at the Blitz. But there was a few little messages, even us having Tony Ronzone just sit on the bench with us and give us a few little pointers as the game was going along. And I remember a few times I had I just said everything I needed to say, and it's like, oh, you still got a minute and a half in the timeout. It's like we were walking around circles and different things. But CJ will be great, and I think he'll absolutely represent the NBL and Adelaide 36ers, brilliantly over there.
Yeah, I was chatting with him yesterday actually, and we were talking about the first kind of 10 minutes. When his only experience in these so far is when he was with Dre, with Brisbane in 2017 against Phoenix, and they were down 25 in the first quarter. The great thing for you guys in that game and in other games is, I think about the Clippers, you were leading at halftime. That first start of the game, you're able to hang tough.
Yeah, for sure. There can be massive momentum rolls in that one, and we saw it in the Toronto game. I think in the second quarter we hung around the first quarter, and then the second quarter it just it went from 7 to 25 kind of really quickly. And so, doing whatever you can to stall it. You've got a million timeouts, and but at the end of the day, you've got to go ahead and make shots. And even the Philly game, we were going pretty well until Chris Goulding got squashed by Embiid and different things. So, but Casper and all those guys that can did really well and create their own shot.
Busy for you right now. Preseason games over the course of the weekend, practice, getting ready for the season. You got media day cracking around practice today, Players Association meeting coming around the corner, and then you're heading off to the Blitz. But how are you feeling right now after filling your cup over the offseason with lots of family time heading into another year?
Yeah, it was a crazy offseason for us. Just being at Summer League, it was great to be back there. It was great to be a part of that basketball experience again, and see a lot of people that you haven't seen for a long time, and immerse yourself in watching games and chatting to agents, and just that whole part that was actually really enjoyable to me to go and do. But at this time it felt so different, not knowing what Jack was going to do, not knowing what Delhi was going to do, and I felt like I was going to the gym some days. I'm like, normally, this is what we're looking for. This is what I'm going to watch today. And it's like, damn, I'm looking for everybody.
Right.
I need to walk away from this game and, try and get some clarity. But we were just, it's just sitting on the fence there, waiting for things to drop to understand what we're really looking for.
If you're in that arena and you don't have a specific focus of a position or a guy, like when I'm there and I'm with the guys that we're following, the Jack White today, this game, Luke Travers the next game. If you don't have that, it's just so much basketball and so many players, you just get lost.
Yeah, really. But we were lucky enough to identify, Rajon Tucker, through that period to say, is there a guy that we could sign regardless of, what happens? Does that guy fit if Delhi's not there or Jack's not there? And we kind of came back to that one to say, hey, this is a guy that we think whatever happens in those scenarios, he can really help us.
You described him the other day as a quote unquote matchup problem. Have you worked out how you're going to use him this season?
Yeah, it was great for us to get the opportunity to play him at point guard in the second game of the Brisbane series. And, Shea Ili's been out for a couple of weeks with concussion right now. And, he tried to watch our game up in Ballarat. And, yeah, he's kind of, the noise and the activity and different things. So, yeah, he's a little ways away from, being perfect to come back. So, have an X start at point guard and how do we support that role, and just seeing what Tuck was able to do. And what I've enjoyed so far is, the growth of him about, hey, this is how it's going to be officiated. It's going to be different. He's got better in his behaviors and how he deals with understanding how this game's going to be called, how physical it's going to be. And then also just once we did a little bit of scouting, we didn't really scout the first game in Brisbane and it showed up. Then we've got into scout for the second game. Just you can see the level of IQ that he has and the understanding at the defensive end. So he's been a pleasure to work with so far. And we can use him at three positions right now. He believes he can guard a lot of fours as well. But and he probably can, but we haven't really tested that one yet.
I feel like it's going to be an interesting journey for him in the NBL, getting used to the spacing, how he's going to be defended. It reminded me a little bit watching him in Ballarat the other night, a little bit of what happened with Scotty Wilbekin when he came into the league, where teams were like, listen, we just can't let him get by us, because if he does, we're in all kinds of trouble. So then it was like he's all of a sudden he's seeing heaps of room and he's like, well, I guess I got to just let this fly. Just that constant decision making throughout the season is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I think so. And we highlighted a couple of times that, they gave him some good space early on, and he let it move. He let it come back to him the second time, and then he was aggressive on his second touch. And it's, do you always just settle for the three, or do you Dwayne McLean it and take up space and find a way as well? So yeah, he'll go through that balance. He'll go through the balance of rescreens and unders and all those kind of things. But I'm pretty happy with the way he shoots it as well. So it's hopefully he can prove that to everybody.
Not only that, you guys there in that practice gym over a long period of time, but especially the last couple of years, like Shea Ili's turned into a guy that people used to leave, but you no longer can leave. Jack White turned into that guy, and it's a huge reason why he's got an NBA contract. So the work that you guys have been doing there has shown in that regard. Speaking of Jack White, you were talking about the offseason, your experience there at Summer League. Jock Landale signed with you guys for 1 year, and the idea was to get to the NBA, and then he got there. And Jack White signed for 3 with that idea in mind. Delhi signed with 1. The JLA bet on you guys, and you bet on him, and he bet on himself, and it worked out. He's going on to a big contract elsewhere. I mean, is there no doubt it was a difficult situation covering all those losses, but a real sense of pride for you and the organization for the role you've played with those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And we weren't probably in a position this year to now recruit that next local talent to say, hey, let's take on this path. It was too late to kind of grab that guy with those guys. So we really look at replacing them with imports. We think Rajon certainly got the ability to play a lot of minutes and show teams that he can bounce back and jump straight back into the NBA and be better. So that's a great challenge for the staff, but great reward for all the assistant coaches, especially and the program. I thought Justin Schuler had a really good connection with Jock Landale, in his workouts. Reese and JLA had their thing going, and DMAC, advanced Whitey's ball handling, and so just using all our assistant coaches really well to upskill people, and it's great rewards. I'm sure we'll all be sitting watching that first game that Jack and Delhi get to play that NBA experience again and feel that reward.
Yeah, and I also feel like the support that you provided those guys. Some of it is also, it's the day-to-day work, like you're saying, with DMAC and whatnot, but some of it is also the position you put them in on the floor on game night so that they can help your team win, but also that they can progress themselves as players. Like for Delhi to get back to the league, you actually had to have some tape and some vision of him knocking down shots. And you came into the season saying, we want you to shoot, want you to get that Samiris vibe back about you, where you're being aggressive offensively. And for Jack to play, and Jack was never going to go to the NBA as just a 4 who couldn't play the 3. No. So you played him minutes at the 3 and said, you're going to need to shoot. You're going to have to learn how to play that spot at both ends of the floor. Is that something that you focus on from a player development perspective, juggling that development and winning ball games?
Yeah, certainly in Jack's case, his individual development plan was about, we think your international position for you to play at the Olympics, we think you're going to be a wing, and you can play some 4 as well. For the NBA, we think it's going to be that. And Torrey Craig was kind of the example to say, hey, can you do some of the things that Torrey's doing? And a big part of that was being able to knock in shots, and his ability to find some processes for him when he's so tough on himself, missing shots or making a bad play, and he can get so down on himself. And I just thought, even post-season, it was something we tried to work on it for 3 years, but I thought he really found it post-season that, hey, this is what I'm going to tell myself. This is my mantra when I have those moments that I stop believing in myself for a little bit. And I thought showed up greatly in the Boomers series and then go into Summer League. So, just see people take not only advancements on the floor with their skill level, but the advancements with their brain to make sure that they're processing the information and getting the positive thoughts going, that they can be great.
So what are those growth areas for Ariel this season?
Yeah, and what last year was about just forming winning habits and winning practice habits for him, and his body was poor when we got him, and so there was a massive load on the strength and conditioning staff to build him into, and him to build into every session to try and get the best out of himself. And he not tanked a session, but he just took a long time to get going to full speed. And now the ability to have a plan about, hey, I want to get this done today. I need you to help me with this. And it's just totally different. So he's come a long way in those habits to start with. Now the minutes are there, and we saw him, the high energy that he plays at. It was that 4-minute kind of hit and, get out. And there was times that he even put his hand up in the 4 minutes. They need to get out quicker than that. So, our ability to try and stretch out to 6 this year, or for me to even be smart enough to say, hey, we still need him in the game. I need to call a timeout and keep him going. So how we manage that extra load, and you could probably say that with Shea Ely as well. They're 2 massive high energy guys that had huge impact, and now we're asking you to step up your role, to step up. Can you play close to that high intensity for longer periods of time and really help us? Ariel really worked on his shot in the off season. Something that he's added to his bag. He hasn't shown it too much in the preseason games so far. But yeah, just his ability to screen, to play out of handoffs, to be the rim protector, the rebounder, and the sprinter that he is. And I think there's enough in that package, if he does it really well, to get him to the NBA.
I feel like when he first arrived on his Aussie shores last year and he first got involved with you guys on the practice floor, he had a lot to learn at the defensive end of the floor about, how to be effective in his role amongst five guys on the floor at that end. And some of that is pick and roll coverages, and some of that is where you are off the ball and how you're talking and the like. What do you think were his biggest strides in that respect last season, and what's next?
It always becomes the trust. I think, we found the positioning in the on ball that we thought he was great in. And so, all right, you just go ahead and be great in that. And we'll make sure with the different guys coming at you, high level shooters, guys that like to get downhill, we think we've got a perfect kind of spot for you in the activity level to play to. But really, that one, I just totally lost my train of thought there.
Ariel on D.
Yeah, really the big one was the trust. For him, we saw early he just wanted to hug his man on the weak side a little bit. Yeah. He didn't want his man to score, and so it takes a lot for those bigs that, hey, someone's going to crack back for you, and we're not going to give up a tip dunk, or we're not going to give up that rebound to your guy. And so I think we've already saw it in the first game of the preseason, that trust disappeared a little bit again, and then he got it back for the second game to say, all right, new teammates, new guys, are they going to do these things for me if I go and challenge?
Right. And sometimes go get it, and it's going to be a highlight reel play protecting the rim, but sometimes if you can get there early enough, it's actually going to be more effective for us if you just wall up like the guys behind you in that picture.
Without a doubt, patience is the biggest thing at both ends for him. Like, is he going to be second off the ground? Is he going to jump for everything? Same at the offensive end. How quick is he going to play? And I thought that's been a growth so far. Him coming back is just taking his time a little bit more, using one or two extra moves to get to the spot that he wants to get to shoot it.
It's been interesting for me watching you guys and how you've recruited each off season, because you've had a consistent core of guys like Chris and Dave and these kind of guys. And then you came in 2018 and the balance was great. You had to put in the culture and the accountability, but the balance from each end of the floor was great. You won the title. The following year, I think it tilted towards the D, and the grand final series, you came out of that saying we just couldn't put points on the board when we needed to. You recruit Melo Trimble and Sean Long, and in 2020, I think it tilted towards the O, and you came out of that season thinking, I want to get back to who I am as a coach, which is defensive minded first. Yeah. 2021, the balance was great. You had Jock on the roster, and you won the title. And then last year, I think you'd agree it tilted towards the D again. Does that explain some of the signings over the offseason, like Xavier Ratun-Mays and the fact that you just want to turn that dial again a little bit the other way?
Yeah. Last year we win the league, and then we just, in the playoffs, we did everything right. We're trying to win back-to-back championships, and we finished in first place. And so there wasn't too much wrong with it. We just needed, you look back in that 2 or 3 games and say, man, we just need people to shoot it better. And again, that was a confidence thing. It's something I've looked at in my own coaching. And when you talk about accountability with guys and a defensive coach, sometimes you can be really hard on people. And did I actually not give people enough confidence in those moments to go and score the basketball? And so I'm conscious of that this year, that of my accountability, but also my praise to make sure guys are feeling good about, shooting the basketball and not just worried about coach screaming at him for missing his defensive coverage as well. So, I've got to get that balance right. This group, I really like what we've seen with, Jordan Caroline and his ability to stretch the floor as well as get downhill. But people are going to give him space, because just like Tucker, because that's the best thing that he does is to drive and put pressure on referees and put pressure on the rim. X's, and obviously we recruited him and Shea to be our point guards. We've seen his ability to get hot and really break games open as well. And then there's been a reluctance for him to want to shoot the three. So I'm really been pushing him to say, yeah, we think you're a great, guy that can get others involved. You pass the ball really well. And so, showing him numbers and stats about his game and what he does really well. But then to just say, hey, go ahead and just knock in some open threes. Your mid-range is deadly. Getting to the rim is deadly, but go ahead. And I'm really driving the confidence to him to want to shoot the basketball and want to make, at least 1.5 threes a game. And when we put this team together, it was like, we need to make 11, 12 threes a game. And so, do we believe we can do that? So at our best, we can, we can go ahead and put up that number. And I was pleased with the Brisbane game that we shot 32 threes. That's exactly where we want to be. And we only make 7. So we went back and looked at all the misses that we had. Were they great shots? Were they contested? Different things. And we've added a lot more contested shooting already into our practice to say, hey, that were good looks. We just got to go knock those things in.
So a lot of that explains a bit about why we've been hearing from those new imports, especially Xavier, saying the word from Vico has been he wants us to be ourselves. And it's clearly these guys come in with a whole lot of confidence about what they can do, especially at the offensive end. And it's clear you've got coming into the season with the mentality of like, I want them in those key moments, in big games down the stretch to still have that.
Without a doubt. You can change people a little bit, but you can't change them. The mentality about who they are and what they've been as a player to make a complete shift is pretty challenging. So all of those 3 guys are going to be aggressive. Again, X is probably the biggest one to say, really working with him to say, when is the best time for you to be aggressive? How do you get others involved? And on your second touch, how aggressive do you be in those moments? So, I've been pleased with all those guys and their coachability so far and their work ethic to try and understand who we were. We had the Ballarat camp where, it was less about the basketball. It was more about, just hanging out and learning about each other, putting in our standards, what our culture is about, how the refereeing is going to be called and the things that they've got to adjust to and really come together as a group. Limited scouting on that first one. As I said, it showed we were terrible, give up 105, but the response to say, in one day, we could turn that thing around to hold it to 76 and make some changes. So that's the positive out of that weekend.
Talking about making triples this across the whole team this season, one guy who has some untapped potential in that regard is Isaac Humphries, who you've brought in. Now, we saw, of course, what he was able to do for Adelaide a couple of seasons ago, but he does have that 3-point range in his bag, and he's spoken about wanting to kind of tap into that this season. But in order to do that, he's going to need to be on the floor. His knee's going to need to be feeling good, and he's going to need to kind of get rid of all that rust. Where do you feel he's at right now, 3 weeks out from opening night?
Yeah, it was interesting. We played him, 17, 18 minutes the other night. And, we get beat by 30 or whatever. And, we're talking to Ice and he's so excited. He's like, I just played a game of basketball, 9 months I haven't played and just to be out there and run around and different things. And he got a little bit of pain in his knee after playing some minutes, but, he was good to practice the next day and, smart enough for us to say, hey, you haven't played for 9 months. We just played you. You practiced all week. Hey, take this next game off. Let's get you through practice and get you ready for the blitz. So, I think he's in a pretty good space. Certainly with his head, he's enjoying being in Melbourne. He's really bought into it's not all about me. It's about me and Ariel. And how can us, the two of us, really impact winning and how can we support each other? And it's been actually a really good relationship. I'm sure there's things that Ice can give Ariel about the league and how to get there, and they can share information. But on the court, they've really gone at each other, and but it's in a great way.
We, over the offseason, or at the end of last season and then over the offseason, we had 2 of the big streaks in the league disappear from the competition. Perth's 35-year finals streak is now gone. And Gorge, whilst his personal final streak is still alive, he's coaching elsewhere this season. So now that streak belongs to you. 5 straight years in the finals. Ever since you've turned up in Melbourne at Melbourne United, you haven't missed the playoffs. What's your kind of goal setting coming into this season? Is that the first kind of thing to tick off to make the finals, and then you start looking at where you might sit, keep that streak alive, how you want the team to play? What are you focused on getting done?
Yeah, I think it's been it's never changed. this club, it's like had the goal is to finish top two. That gives you the chance to make the most amount of money as a club, to get yourself in the best position to win a championship. And so I don't think that goal will ever change for this club unless there's moments that we need to spend less and have a development year or whatever comes about. That the goal will never change for that one. So hopefully we'll put together a roster. I know I have to be patient. It feels like I'm coaching an absolutely brand new team, and it felt like that the other night. And so even us having the St Mary's game one day into preseason, it's like, we've got to get ready to play a game. We don't even know each other's names, but let's try and put a structure out there. And so that was a really weird moment to say, you normally there's a stepping stone to put your team together and your structures and how you do it. And so we had to skip a lot of things just to go ahead and play a game. And then we have to backtrack and say, wow, this has actually been a good moment for us because we know how many things we don't know about how to get better. And we set a plan about, all right, these are the stepping stones to get to the next part of it. And so we're slowly growing. It'd be great. Obviously, we haven't had Shea for an extended period of time with his international commitments, now the concussion. And so, we see all that as, hey, that's really good growth for X to be able to lead our team and for others to be able to step up in that area. But, he's going to be a massive, important piece for us.
Well, good luck with that whole process, mate. You were, I think you had some momentum in that fourth quarter in game 3. And I think in the end, you were probably one big Josh Adams shot away from another grand final appearances. And who knows what you could have done. So hopefully for your sake, the reminders that the picture behind you offer you on a daily basis to just get that little bit better, help on a daily basis, and you can achieve big things this season.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.